Hi guys, Togger here with a new video, and this video I want to talk about something very specific about World of Warcraft. So on Reddit and on WoW forums, there is a discussion. It has been going on for a while, right? A discussion about has Soul Shuffle killed World of Warcraft, or like World of Warcraft PvP retail, or was it already dead? And I'm actually in between. I think it's a combination of both kind of factors. So World of Warcraft PvP hasn't been doing that well since actually late Walls of Draenor. Actually, whenever people were leaving Walls of Draenor, there was actually the moment where PvP was going worse and worse and worse. Legion PvP wasn't that good. Let's be honest. It was alright, but it is not good because there was a lot of like grinding, external grinding that you had to do for the artifact power. But gearing wise, it was templates, and people didn't really like templates. I'm going to be honest, I didn't like the fact that I couldn't really customize my character. If there was like templates with an S for every single spec, so you could actually say, look, I want to play a full mastery over half mastery, half haste, or a full haste, or a full crit. You could actually choose that. I think that would be pretty neat for PvP, but that wasn't the case. There was always a cookie cutter build, and there was like no real playstyle changes for every single spec. I didn't like that. BFA literally did no vendor. Mythic Plus was actually your gearing way to get competitive in PvP. And World PvP it was already fine, but Warfronts was actually something that you would look at and think, oh, this is a PvP activity, and then you just got slapped by a PvE activity. Shadowlands Season 1 was fantastic. I felt like PvEers wanted to do PvP because of the gear, which I think having a bit of a crossover is not that bad. I think having a crossover is actually something that is quite needed for MMORPGs. I think I might make a video about that in the future when I want to discuss about it. But I think in general, having PvEers want to do PvP and also RPGs to grind to get the best trinket possible, and then try to grind honor and ranks to get the eye level of that trinket upgraded is a good thing. Same for PvPers. You had a lot of people actually doing RPGs, BGs, and arenas to actually get honor, to actually get conquest, get more pieces, better pieces, and upgrade those pieces. I actually did like Season 1. I think the thing that I disliked was I couldn't really change covenants whenever I want. I had to wait 2 weeks and then do the quest, and I had to do a lot of like PvE activities to do that, so I couldn't really test too much. I remember whenever I was playing Warrior, I like had 3 covenants that I really liked, which is Night Fae, the Akirian one, which is Spear of Bastion, and also the Venthyr one with on them. That was actually very fun. And then you had like Necrolords actually getting a better covenant ability. So like they got a buff on it. Was quite nice as well. But season 2 they removed it, kinda I think. The eye level, the PvP eye level was maxed out. You didn't really have to grind anymore, I think, for PvEers. It was like completely different. I didn't like it too. I think grinding is kinda needed. No, I mean the PV you still had to grind the honor, but they kind of made that PvEs didn't gain anything by getting a PvP, pretty much. That was actually a bit sad. Made a lot of like popularity behind World of Warcraft PvP like lower. That's why it was halved, and it felt pretty bad. Not gonna lie, I really liked the fact that many people actually wanted to PvP. Kind of forced, I know, but think forced things in MMORPGs is a bad thing. I think PvPers that have a segregated game mode, like for example in Dragonflight, where PvPers can PvP and just ignore PvE, and the same for PvEers can actually ignore PvP as a whole, is not good for MMORPGs. But that's my take. Then you had Dragonflight, which introduced Soul Shuffle. I think it was a huge success, but it didn't really capitalize because, again, no PvP interviews. Again, kind of a stale like progress for Soul Shuffle. don't really know what the devs want to make out of it. You don't really know the direction that they want to go for PvP. You do see a lot of balancing changes, but as if that is the reason why people are actually stopping the game or like going for hardcore World of Warcraft right now, for example. I think it's a combination of all the problems together and amplified with the fact that you don't have to connect on Dragonflight to feel like you're going to be behind. No, you can basically stop for 3 weeks and come back and you will feel like nothing changed. You can even skip a whole season and you wouldn't even be affected by it. Is it a good thing? Normally it is a good thing. I think it's a fantastic thing to be able to alt, to be able to stop whenever you can and play Baldur's Gate 3 or Starfield or whatever game that is coming out and then come back on World of Warcraft like nothing changed. Problem is Guild Wars 2 did the same and is actually doing the same, and that's why the popularity of that game is never really went super high, because it is a very horizontal game. You don't have no real progress with gear, and Dragonflight feels the kind of the same in PvP. In PvE, I think they have other problems with it. Mythic Plus, I think the LFG system is not that good, but you can also say the same for PvP. I think as a whole, that's just a worse weapon, isn't it? It's a worse weapon. I think just in general, it would be better to have some verticality. I know that some people don't want to hear it. We don't want to grind. We want to just PvP. That's it. The problem is, reality is, that's just not the case. That's just not what the popularity in the population shows. Now you only have the hardcore PvPers like me and you that actually love the game. And whenever I'm saying hardcore, it just means like through thick and thin, we're going to play PvP and we're going to enjoy it no matter what, because it is the nature of how PvP works in World of Warcraft. I think if you want to have a successful competitive game, you need to have the lower end, the mid end, and the high end players playing the game. You don't want to have the elitists and only the noobs playing. You want also the casuals. You also want the mid rated player. You also want to reward them so they don't feel like, look, I am 1600, I have nothing to play for, because I'm not never going to get glad, I'm not never going to get elite, I'm never going to get legend. So why would I play, since there is nothing for me there? That's, how can I say, you have to reward all kinds of players, the lower end, the mid players, the mid-level players, and also the high-end players. You want to actually be able to give them a bone. And yes, we are in the, no, let my rewards stay, I want to feel special kind of thing. The problem is, being special and being strong and being better than other players is good until those players are gone, so you are actually just better than nothing because no one is there. You do have to remember, your achievement only is valued if you actually have comparable players in your side. Whenever I'm saying comparable players, I mean you and me, the neighbor, the other player in a different country, for example. People are, you can actually see, and they say, okay, you're a World of Warcraft player, what rating are you? 1600? Oh, I'm 2k, and have some bragging rights behind it. But if the 1600 player is gone, who are you going to compare to? To nothing. Your 2k will mean nothing, because there is no simple way to say that there is a difference between X player and Y player. So that you should already just look for another thing to discuss and to I would say brainstorm about. For me, PvP is already dead because of all those reasons. Now, Soul Shuffle got introduced. 3s and 2s is kind of dead right now. RBGs is even more dead right now. You only have like hardcore players or people that have like actually teams. LFG is really just not good. There is just the system should just be changed. It's not as bad as in Wrath of the Lich King. I would say Wrath of the Lich King Classic is worse LFG wise, since there is no cross server LFG system or cross faction LMG system. It's even worse if you want to actually compare. But it's not really a competition of who is worse. Normally, it should be what's better, what is actually going to be the norm, which is not really the case right now. Right? Actually discussing about how to save PvP. I think right now what you want is be able to progress with soul shuffle. You want to be able to have lower queues because those queue times are just not acceptable. I think any game, any respectable game doesn't have a longer than 20-minute queue for anything. There is there was something funny written on Reddit. I wanted to say that to you guys. If I wanted to have like a 2-hour queue for just 5 minutes of pleasure, I would just go to Disneyland. I think that's a good saying. Again, I don't know who said that on Reddit. It was actually funny. I don't think it's like I think it's a popular joke, but I think it's pretty much how Soul Shuffle is currently for me. I feel like it's very hard for me to just keep on queuing since it just feels like Disneyland without the pleasure of being at Disneyland. I think there is no Disneyland behind Soul Shuffle because you're actually able to lose. So waiting for an hour or 30 minutes to actually able to lose CR or MMR is actually the worst feeling you can have as a DPS. As a healer, I think you could literally play a whole game, a whole session, and actually have no MMR jump positively or negatively, because MMR is so static that you don't have like a progress between queues and between queue sessions. And sometimes you're going to gain 10 CR over like 10 matches in total, or you're going to lose 10 CR over 10 matches, and you will feel like, look, I'm actually playing for nothing. So that should also be changed. I think in general, yes, MMR system should be a zero-sum game. So it means that if you win 10, you should be able to have the enemy losing 10. It should be like this if the MMR is the same. Now the problem is the MMR is not always the same. Sometimes you have a healer actually facing another healer with 400 MMR difference. So what is this zero-sum game? The zero-sum game means that literally if the higher MMR actually just wins 4 rounds or 5 rounds, they are actually punished because they actually faced a lower MMR player. The issue with that is you do not choose who you're facing. So pretty much you are actually hoping for getting a player with a higher MMR than you, so you can actually leech out of that. So you have healers actually queuing and they are able to get 2k or 2.4k just because they actually face healers with higher MMR thresholds. So it means that they can actually climb even then they are losing games. So you see how it is actually just busted, and the zero-sum game doesn't work on that system. A system with a zero-sum MMR game, which should be happening, is like, let's say, League of Legends. It's like, let's say, chess. It's just like, look, you have a bigger pool. It means that if you're 2.4k and you're facing another 2.4k, it's normal that if I win 20, you will lose 20, because then you have like a normal MMR system. But that is not the case in Soul Shuffle. It's not the case in current environment for healers. And I would say even for DPS, it seems that it is this case, but it's a bit less variable because you have 4 players, so they actually like leech out of each other, and it's a zero-sum game kind of for them. I think in general you should try to rework Soul Shuffle. Now I'm talking to Blizzard. You have to rework Soul Shuffle, how the MMR works. I know the zero-sum game is important, but it doesn't work with this environment. Should be stopping with that. Also, I think like putting a 2v2 DPS queue, although very imbalanced, is probably good for the game because you will eliminate a lot of those DPSs out of the Soul Shuffle queue, and in general will mean that the queue times will be lower for the DPSs that are actually going for 3v3 Soul Shuffle. You should not make the same bracket. I would say that you don't have the same ladder. That's all fine. You should change that. What you also should change is rewards. I think you should put rewards at every single MMR threshold. So you have 1400, 1600, 1800, 2k, 2.1k, 2.4k, whatever. And you put like meaningful rewards. I know will be recolors, or you will have like a glad mount that is just not a glad mount, it's like a normal mount whenever it's 1400, but whenever you get like extra thresholds, so for example you become a 1600 or you become a 2k player, the mount kind of gets an evolve, like they evolve kind of with your rating. So it means that like a Pokemon, the Pikachu becomes a Reddit, kind of, right? So you should be able to have that. Now, is it something that you have to put work in? Of course, but I think PvP is worth it. I think in general you want to have PvP being something that is pursued by every single player, and I would even say that it should also be for Mythic Plus. I think every single one PvPer or raider wants to and have to play Mythic Plus, so you can actually have some incentives and some cross between them. That is, of course, my opinion. I know that some people may say, "Oh, it's a hot take. It's a busted take. How dare you say that I have to PVE?" You don't have to, but if you want to have like the rewards, the cool rewards, you have to do PVE. And the same for PvP. If you want to have cool rewards, you want to do also PvP, because then you get all the rewards possible in the game. And that should be the case. You should be wanting to PvP because there is like a reward just at the end of your grasp. You want to take it, that you want the cookie, although the cookie is kind of small. But if you go for a next threshold, you get a second cookie, which is a bit bigger, and then bigger, and then bigger. Give incentives. The elite set, I think it's elite set or glad set, I don't know. So at 1.8k you get like a appearance set, which is good. Or 1800 is a good threshold. I think you could put something else at 1600, put something else at 2k. You could even put the 1.8k set appearance to 1.6k and put it at 1.8k something else, which is probably more neat. Anything, right? So you can actually push and shove more participation into the game. I think right now PvP is dead. I think it's just dead with how it is currently implemented in the game. I think there is no environment where people want to queue and get 30-minute queues to just able to play just a game or two and lose MMR or win MMR for just peanuts. And again, I think also Solo Shuffle, if you're 2.4k or you're getting the legend title, which is like 50 games, like you have to win 50 games after like 2.4k, you get no rewards that is lasting except a penance. Put a glad mount. I don't care. I know you can also put a recaller. I don't care. But put something that you want to reward players. If social play is really the future, please put something that is going to resemble to the future of PvP. Right now, it is just not the case. So you have to change that as well. I think 3v3 and 2v2, you have to incentivize a bit better to actually have more players going into those brackets. I think a good step would be to rework the LFG system. It's not very hard. You can make it flashy numbers. You can make it a bit more visible to everyone. Maybe have anonymous queues. So it means that if you're like RMP, you're an RMP player, you're a mage, you have a priest, that you're looking for a rogue, you literally put looking for rogue, boom, and then it's a queue. And if you're a rogue and you're queuing into RMP, you get the RMP group, you know each other or whatever. You can also have anonymous names without achievements, or you cannot see achievements, and you play with each other and try to make the best out of it. Something like that. I think people are way too picky in LFG. Myself also, I think if I'm playing Turbo and there is a windwalker going into my group, I'm an enhancement shaman, and there's a windwalker, I should be able to also say to myself, look, it's a windwalker, it could also work, right? But anyways, I think that's my 2 cents. I think right now the PvP is dead for good reasons. I think it's too old right now, how it functions and how it works. It should not be able to be the case that you're playing for peanuts most all the time, right? And when I say peanuts, it's really peanuts. Like you're playing for nothing right now. Even Soul Shuffle right now, you're just playing for bragging rights for the MMR system. It's not a lasting thing. Healers want to queue, but they don't have any incentives to do so. Why would they queue? You have to think for yourself. Why are you queuing Soul Shuffle? Is it just for the fun? Yeah, that's good, but not everyone plays for just fun. You have to look into the broader perspective to have more players. You have to think and see look, in this current generation of gamers, nobody really plays for peanuts. It's either for a good story, either for a good achievement, or for the adrenaline pump from a Dark Souls like, for example, or someone is playing for the exceptional um, gameplay, but also you have bragging rights because of the competitivity you can bring, for example, League of Legends. Please reward players. It should not be that hard. And you see myself, I'm playing hardcore. I think it's fun to be able to level and have a goal to not die until level 60 and then maybe raid. And if you're dying, well, that's too bad, but you can always transfer it to classic era and do PvP there, which is my plan. If I'm dying, I'm going to PvP with those characters. That is pretty much my... Again, thank you for watching this video. Really appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. I know it is hardcore gameplay, but PvP right now in retail is kind of dead. Queue times are dead. Everything is dead. I do not like to actually wait for queues. I'm too old to sit behind my desk waiting to have fun. While I can play any game, if it's not World of Warcraft Classic, if it's not retail, if it's not RAF, I could play Baldur's Gate, and that's directly fun. So why would I wait 30 minutes to have a semblance of a gameplay that could be repeatable over time? If it's like a 30-minute queue to get into a server, that's something else. But 30 minutes to just get into a game, which is just between 1 minute because someone can leave and 50 minutes of gameplay, is ridiculous. But anyways, that is my take. Again, thank you. Have a great day. Be sure to stay safe. And we'll catch you probably very soon in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.